millions of mines and unexploded grenades are scattered across Afghanistan. Now, people like Salim Pandikhail scavenge the ground for weapons that contain treasure.
په مینو کې زیات راځي هغه مونږ چې نو باسو بیا ځکه هغه د مرګ خطر هم لري خو بیا لیک پیسې هم جوړوي.
Salim sells the copper to scrapyards. From there, it's transported to factories in Kabul that process and recycle it.
ولا خو غریبي د نو سبکه دی غریبي خو نه کېږي دغه څه کې ناسونه خو هغه خطر سره ومني سوال کې هغه کې غنه خو د خطر خبره.
Locals have to be careful because this land may never be fully cleared of explosives. This boy was 7 years old when a bomb shattered half of his skull. So how did such a risky business become the only option for so many in Afghanistan?
مونږه سخترین ځای دغه ده چې سر کې را پاتېږو ټوله ورځ سوچ وشي کار به وشي او که به نشي.
Salim lives in a small village northeast of Kabul.
دوام کوو هر چیز سره مخ کېږو ورځ کې لس ځلې داسې د بمي شیان سره مخ کېږو.
He finds most of the weapons in Tangi Valley, one of Afghanistan's most heavily mined areas. This was always an important passageway for troops because it connects two major provinces close to the capital, Kabul.
دې له وجې هم راځي اوس داسې کبالیان هم ډېر شوي دي چې
Salim carries the explosive scrap 6 miles away to his own little hideout to do the dangerous work of taking them apart.
چې حول خو لږ سرای نه لرې لاړ شو هلته بیا صفا کوو ځکه چې باید یو موږ ژوبل سو نور خلک ځان سره ضعیف نه کو ژوبل نه کو.
These are bases of mortar shells. The six-fin design shows that they belonged to the Soviet Army, who fought here from 1979 until 1989. Salim breaks the copper off the weapons. He can sell it for about $2 a pound.
تیز سرونه لري میخو غونتې میخونه هم تیروي چې معمولي ګوته ورسره ولګي داسې شي چې خپله حیران شي.
Some of these pieces can also cause tetanus since they are covered with decades of rust. High-caliber bullets like these can be explosive for years. Salim has had some close calls.
دا مونږ یو ټیم کې مرمۍ راوړه هغه نه دلته ما میس ماتول هغه زیاتې دوګۍ وکړو چې ایسته مې ورکړه هغه زیاتې ډز یې مو وکړو خلک هم ټول شو زیاتې مونږ ته هم په غوسه شو. په هغه ساعت کې مې همدا ویلې خو چې مړ خو دې شي خو چې لږ مجبوریتونه نه وای.
Most countries have already banned landmines, but the Russians planted hundreds of thousands of them here. And the Taliban used some of those old mines to fight against the US when it invaded in 2001. The US military says it did not use any over the 20-year war, but it left behind other lethal military waste, like unexploded grenades and mortars. A lot of that ends up at scrapyards like this. Muhammad Amin runs the biggest one in the valley.
مثال دا ورچی شای دا عدالت سره راوړي زی نو ګورم سره دا شای خطرناک دا شای د سیل د سیل.
He buys everything from old buckets to tarps and rubber to one of the most valuable things he trades in.
دا شای میستا زیر دی کېبل دا.
Amin says about 25 people come to him daily. Some even find weapons around their homes, like bullets that contain lead and can cause rashes and even cancer.
بله مؤسسې والا دې ته لاس نه ور د شکشې ورته په لاس کړ.
Collectors like Salim sometimes bring their scrap here. They can get just over $3 for about 15 pounds. Then it's transported to factories in Kabul. Since fuel costs are rising, they try to load up as much as possible in one trip. Omid Bashir works for one of the biggest steel mills in Kabul that turns scrap into metal bars. The factory does not accept weapons because it's too dangerous, but it does process metal parts if they're already separated from the explosives. They dump the scrap metal into the furnace, but sometimes mistakes happen.
چالت دا کوم مال زین وغه کې خامخا که د شپې کار کوو کې یا بند مال پایپ یا مرمۍ کله چالو ته ده نو دا عذاب یې جي کړی ځان سره یا یې په بوټو کې ولیدلی ده یا یې په سر ولیدلی یا یې په څټ لیدلی ده.
The melted scrap is turned into steel bars used for construction. The rest of this potentially explosive scrap is collected by demining organizations that safely dispose of it. Over the years, official efforts to remove landmines in Afghanistan have been few and far between. NGOs like the Halo Trust have stepped in.
د مهماتو ساحه کې خپل علی موجود دي، د مینونو ساحه کې مینفیلډ کې بټلفیلډ کې خپل علی موجود دي. نظر په هماغې الو مطابق مونږ مین کشف کوو.
بشیر خان در صورت که چارچت آماده است، امنیت تامین است، میتونی اجرات کنی.
About 160 people are killed or injured by explosive remnants of war every month in Afghanistan. And in 2021, nearly 80% of the casualties were children. Salahuddin has worn this hat for almost 3 years. He was just throwing stones around with his cousins when one of them hit a bomb. The explosion fractured his skull and damaged his brain. He had to learn how to walk again.
کله چې موږ درس ورته ووایو اول دا درس هغه ښه کادای خو وروسته بېرته د ذهن نه یې وځي داسې.
So Salahuddin has warned his friends to be careful. But Salim has to take his chances with this job because poverty has been on the rise since the Taliban took over in 2021. Western countries cut foreign aid and a financial crisis pummeled the country. 97% of the population is expected to fall below the poverty line before the end of this year. Even this simple meal Salim and his family are eating today is rare.
بعضې شی وي کور کې بعضې نه وي کې دا شی وي چې 2 میاشتې هم نه وي 1 میاشت هم نه وي وړو چې ختم شي دا کلي کور نه چې راخلو هغه یې نه ورکوي هغه سره خپله نه وي.
And if he didn't collect scrap, he says they'd have no food at all.
همدا احساس کوو چې مونږ یعنې دې کې که سر وخورم پیسې داره نشته کوو چې نه کوم داره کارونه نشته او چې کوي دا دې باندې موږ مشکلات نه حل کېږي دې له وجې.